Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's interactive gaming workshop where you're going to get to build your own graveyard escape game. Before I get started, or before we get started with the official workshop here, I'd just like to make sure that everyone can see me, everyone can hear me okay. Maybe just give me like a thumbs up in the chat or say, yes, Tyler, we can see you. All good. Awesome. 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 Thank you. Perfect. So yeah, so I'll go over a couple things here quick with you guys. Before I go over even the event platform here and kind of go through the space that we're in, most important thing is that anybody who's looking to participate in this workshop today, I did send out an email in advance with some downloads for you. But if you missed that, if you, for any reason, weren't able to do it, I'm just going to throw those links into the chat now for you guys. And then while I go through the first part of this, you can do the download so that when Rafael gets up on stage, hopefully you kind of be caught up with everyone else there too. So this link here in the chat is the Unity download. Make sure you download the free version, unless of course you're looking to do a paid version, but all you would need in general for any of our courses, but specifically for today's workshop is just the free version. And happy Halloween, guys. Happy Halloween. I should have put like a Halloween background in behind me. What a missed opportunity, but I guess it's a gaming background, so it'll still be fine. Yes, Mohammed, great question. This whole session will be recorded and it will be sent out to everybody afterwards. So feel free to take notes. Feel free to, screen record or do whatever you like, but you don't have to worry about it. You can just kind of enjoy the workshop, participate and code along with us, not with me, with the instructor, or you can just take notes and then not use the recording. Sorry, I can't remember what I was saying there. So either recording or you don't have to. Will the 2022 version work with this workshop of Unity? It should still work. I think it would. Rafael can see and hear all of this now. He's not quite up on stage yet, but when he does come on stage, he'll make sure to let you guys know if there's any like weird nuances with Unity or anything, but I think it should be fine. Oh, he's typed it in the chat. Perfect. Thanks, Raf. Thank you. Cool. So that was the Unity download. I am going to put that, the other one in here as well. Give me just a second, guys. So this is the link for the actual file download for today. So that one there, if anybody doesn't have it, make sure you open that link and then just click the download button. And then once you have both Unity and that file download, those are the two key pieces you'll need for the workshop. Raf will be able to come on stage and let you guys know how to open that file within Unity. And then you'll kind of be working in that, as far as I know, for the workshop here today. So recommended version of Unity for this project. Anyone that works, Stanley, somebody just asked about 2022 version and that still works. That should be fine. So as long as you have I guess like a more recent within the last few years, unpaid version, paid version, whatever you like, should be fine. I see Raf's typing there too. Maybe he can give a little bit more insight there too, but cool. So those are the two links. So if anybody wants to code along today in the session, just make sure that you have those. Outside of that, guys, there's a little questions tab down at the bottom of the screen. We will do some Q&A at the end of the session. So if anybody has any questions just in general about Circuit Stream, about our courses, about our company, about the workshop today, about the industry, we'll do our best to answer any of that stuff for you. So what I do ask is just throw any questions you have into the questions tab. And then what we'll do at the end is do the Q&A and we'll kind of go through all these together. So I'm just opening it here. I'm at work. Can I follow along visually? Absolutely. How long is this workshop? Workshop's going to run for about an hour to an hour and a half. Could go a bit longer depending on Q&A, but I think the actual coding interactive portion should be about 45 minutes to an hour. If it's going to be any kind of different, then Raf can absolutely let you guys know when he comes on stage here. But I think that's probably a good estimate. Might even be a bit less than that. I'm not sure fully, but if I leave early, will I have access to the recording later? Absolutely, Chris. You will get a recording of this full session to your email, and then you can come back into this event space and watch it anytime. So in terms of questions, I'm going to close the questions tab now, and I won't loop back to it until the end here when we're doing it. So we're doing the audience Q&A, I should say. So so throw questions in there if you have any for that. And then that's it. There's some people down there, some polls. I don't have any polls for this session, so we should be good. There is a question in the chat. Do we also teach Unreal Engine? We do. We focus on Unreal Engine predominantly in our game design course. We offer game development and game design courses. So the development is focused mostly on Unity, and the design is mostly using Unreal as the main two tools there. So the stream seems to be super glitchy for me and not working. Yes, there is a recording that'll be sent out afterwards. So if anybody's having any trouble with the stream, or if it's at all slow or glitchy, you can always reference back to the recording afterwards there. So, and this workshop is suitable for complete beginners. It's kind of a way to showcase our courses as well that are also suitable for complete beginners, the game development and design courses we offer. So, all right, so that was quite the introduction. I'll invite everyone to share in the chat, where is everyone joining me from? I'm actually, I'm from, originally from Ontario. Currently, I'm living in Alberta, in Calgary, but I also lived in BC for almost 10 years. Oh, wow, Waterloo, Toronto, Victoria, Montreal, currently in Edmonton, Hamilton, Fort McMurray, Toronto, Richmond Hill. I think I've been to all these places. This is cool. Prince George, I haven't been there. Brampton, I've been. Keswick. Cool. Kenya, amazing, amazing. Nairobi, awesome. Burlington, Sudbury, cool. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining the session here today. Should be fun, should be really cool. Raf's going to get up on stage in a few minutes and do the workshop with you guys. Before he does that, I'll go through a few quick things with you. I'll share a little bit of information about Circuit Stream, who we are, a little bit on our courses, and then I'll let him kind of take the stage and take over. So without further ado, I'll move this part over. We don't need to see my face as much now here. And, oh, bootcamp financing available. Hold on here, folks. Let's fix this presentation and make sure we're in the right spot before we try and do this. Oh, I know why. There's two duplicate slides, that's why. All right, here we go, folks. Sorry about that. My gaming startup needs financing. Oh, all right. All right, guys. Sorry about that. False start here. So we will get this started. So like I said, I'm going to start by introducing myself. So my name is Tyler Trapp. I'm today's event host, but I'm also the marketing events manager at Circuit Stream. I've been here for a few years, actually just celebrated my 3-year anniversary at the beginning of August. We'll also have Raf joining us on stage, not quite yet, but I'm going to invite him up in just a few minutes. He's one of our game development instructors, and he's going to lead the workshop today and show everyone how to build your own Graveyard Escape game. So before I get him up here, I'm going to share, like I said, a little bit about Circuit Stream. We began in 2015 through a network of developers, designers, and creators, and we're now a leading provider of technology learning in different spaces like game development and design, product design, augmented and virtual reality, product management, software development, and so on and so forth. We also offer courses to both adults and teens. So today's event is a little bit more leaning into our adult game development bootcamp. But if anybody in the audience knows of any younger folks between the ages of 13 to 18 who are looking for some cool summer camp options or just tech courses, we do have some really cool options there. And our portfolio just expanded. We've got like a whole whack of courses available coming into this next year. So if anyone knows any little ones that are looking for some early starts on tech education, have them reach out to us. And at Circuit Stream, our main goal is to bridge academics with industry to shape real-world experiences and to teach the skills of the future through innovative learning experiences. So you may be wondering, how do we achieve this? We do this through project-based learning. When we design all of our curriculums, we begin with employer data and research, and then based on that information, we create experiences and projects to provide our students with career-ready skills. Taking this approach allows us to partner with the top universities in North America to provide technology education for both teens and adult learners. In fact, we are the only Canadian technology education company that is currently partnered with these universities to provide these types of boot camps and courses. So you can see a handful of our partners on the left there. So very impressive institutions. Yay, UBC, I can see in the chat. Because we rely on our industry and employer data and information to create the educational content, our students develop in-demand applied skills that actually matter in market. So you're learning things that you can kind of be thrown or launched out into the industry, and they'll actually matter and make sense when you get into your roles. This prepares them to seamlessly transition into the workforce and confidently tackle real-world challenges. We also iterate on our course materials constantly to provide students with the most up-to-date programs and tools. On the screen here, you can see a little snapshot of some of the tools that are used in both of our courses for game development and game design. And as I mentioned before, we predominantly use Unity in our game development course and Unreal in our game design course. So you can see those are listed, but also a bunch of other ones. Figma, ... You don't like Figma, Alejandra? I do not like... Do folks not like Figma? I love Figma. That's why I was shocked too to see a couple sad comments on Figma in the chat there. I use Figma all the time, so so cool. I'll go on to the next part here. We also provide career support. We provide a gateway into the industry for our students through our dedicated career support services by equipping them to showcase their product skills and strengths and elevate their digital presence along with their personal brands. So basically at the end of the course as well, like we provide career support throughout the programs. And then at the end of the course, we also do a pitch day here. I don't know if I included a slide specifically. I didn't. So I'm just going to mention the pitch day. So at the end of the each of the boot camps, basically you have a capstone project that you work on, and then you get to present it. And we invite a bunch of industry professionals, our employer partners, into the room, and they provide direct feedback. They give advice. If they're looking for new hires, chances are they'll send out contracts or career opportunities to the students in the room there for that. So just a little bit about our career support. And then talking about some career opportunities, this industry, of course, gaming overall has grown significantly in recent years. And with that, the opportunities have too. Of course, there's been layoffs as there is in every other industry, but the overall stats show significant growth in the gaming industry over the last few years. In the US alone, there are over 3,000 game studios employing almost 300,000 people. And in Canada, there's been tremendous growth over the last few years with over 900 active game studios. And that number, 900 studios, is a 35% increase since just 2019, which is crazy. Not only that, the game industry contributed over $5 billion to Canada's GDP, which is a 29% increase over the last 4 years. As you can see, of course, there's lots of potential in this industry. And for anybody who just jumped in more recently, if you missed it at the beginning, this full session will be recorded. So you guys feel free to write down some stats, write down anything you like, take screenshots, use your phone to take pictures of your computer screen, or you can literally just sit back and relax, and you'll get a full recording of this afterwards. So. For game designers, they have power to shape exciting new games. The average salaries for gaming designers are about $120,000 per year. That number is for both US and Canada. And there's a range of job titles. So if anybody goes through a course or is kind of being launched out into the industry, we always encourage people to look beyond just game designer roles. Look for other things like level designers, systems designers. If you limit your searches just to game designers, you'll often be missing out on a whole pool of opportunities that your skill sets would definitely be applicable for. So, and same thing with game developers. There are over 8,000 job openings for game developers in the United States alone, with the average salary sitting at about $121,000. And then, as I said before, too, like game engineers, game programmers, different types of titles in addition to just game developer there. So. And then I do this too. I do a quick little exercise here. I do this for all the sessions basically because we get a lot of feedback. We have a lot of people asking about remote positions. And I think this comes because there's a lot of people who are geographically located in spaces that aren't necessarily big city centers. And they're also interested in doing game development or design. And they're curious, what does this mean for me if I take this course and I live out in a little town of a couple thousand people, and, will there be opportunity for me? So I always take a minute to kind of share. I went through this just yesterday, and all of these companies on screen are currently hiring for game development and design remote positions today, like as of yesterday. So just to give you, and I mean, I'm only kind of showing some really big companies on here for the most part. The reality is I could have included a whole whack more of smaller companies, you know, independent, smaller companies, just not necessarily just large gaming studios, but there's just a ton of opportunity out there, both in person and remote. So I always like to just let people know that because we get that question quite a bit. So. All right, so I'm going to share a little bit about our boot camps too. Today's focus is more on the interactive workshop, but I just thought while you guys were here, it would be silly to not share a little bit on the education that we do offer for both game development and design. Our game design bootcamp is designed for those who want to enter the gaming industry as a designer, of course, those who want to establish their own companies or utilize game design skills within their current roles. This bootcamp is all project-based, so our students gain practical skills while working on real-world projects. Over the course of the 30 weeks, they learn to analyze game design elements, conceive gameplay concepts, design game mechanics, create functioning game prototypes, and test novel gameplay ideas. They also learn about the role of a game designer and its various specializations, and just how they fit into overall video game production. So that's a little bit about our game design bootcamp. Similarly, we offer the game development bootcamp, Unity game development bootcamp, as it's called, with some of our Uni partners, or Unity development bootcamp. But this one is for those looking at breaking into the industry more as a developer, obviously be a little bit more interested in things like coding. This course is also completely beginner friendly. Both of them are. But with this one, because it does have the added coding element, we do have additional resources and parts to the course that can help you kind of get prepared and perform better, obviously, because you're going to be learning. Coding itself is a completely different language. So that's how I usually say to people, it's like learning Spanish almost for the first time if you've never tried it before. But the cool thing is if you do have any sort of coding knowledge, it's also easy to kind of transfer that into new languages. It's not completely easy or, seamless to just go from one to the other, but it's much easier. It's like learning French if you already speak Spanish, or Italian, something like that. So, and then our students really enjoy the aspect of the course being completely project-based, because they get to build up a portfolio as they go through. And once they graduate, after they go through the pitch day, they actually have their own portfolio of projects that they can show to employers. So yeah, just a little bit about the game development bootcamp. And I said the portfolio, but students also finish with certification, and then they have a network of professionals. So we connect our students through to industry professionals, but you're also, as soon as you register for one of our courses, you're brought into our Discord network. And it's a great place for current students, past students, people to just kind of connect with each other. We oftentimes get game developers and designers connecting through that, creating projects, submitting them to Steam, whatever the case may be. So really, really cool. So it's a little bit about us there. And then the last thing on the game development bootcamp is there's an additional certification through Unity. So it's important to note, actually, we work directly with Unity to create Unity's level of certifications that they offer, their different levels. And then we also worked with them to create our certifications for our courses. So basically, when you get certified by us through our course, you are technically being certified by Unity for the game development, because they worked with us and we created it together with them. However, they do offer their own levels of certification in addition to that. And we include the cost for their associate programmer certification in our game development bootcamp. So once you've completed the bootcamp, you have all the knowledge from the course, you'll be certified by us, which again is technically a form of Unity certification. But if you want to go a step further and get the direct associate programmer certification, you can also do that. I think you have like a year or so to write it after the course. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to let the team confirm the exact time amount there. But you have a set amount of time after you've completed the course to utilize that 450 certification fee that's included in our bootcamp to go in and write the test, so you can be certified by them, in addition to our certification, which again is also Unity anyway. So yeah, a little bit on that. And that's it, guys. I just wanted to share a little bit of information on us, who we are, on the company, and just our courses here. But Without further ado, I will officially invite Raf up on stage here, and I'll let him take over for the workshop, and we can get started on that. Thank you, Raf.
Thank you, Tom. Is everything good? Everyone hearing me?
Yeah. I'll close that off too, Raf, and I'll let you share your screen. I'll get out of the way here. Thanks.
No problem. All right. Thank you, Tyler. All right. So my name is Rafael. I think everyone already got that. You can call me Raf. Let me put my screen to share here. Yes. All right. I think it's good. Okay. If there's any problem with the screen, just let me know. But I think it's showing up, and most important, it's showing Unity Hub, which also you guys already installed, hopefully. But yeah, how does this part work? How to create a project, right? I hope you guys went to Unity Hub and installed a version. Unity calls installs, right? The version is installs. But if you already have a version, and basically any of them would probably work, 2022, 2021. But if you already have a version, you can go to projects here in Unity Hub and click on new project. Okay, this is how we create a project. And I want you guys to try to create a universal 3D template. Okay, so Unity also has a bunch of templates for projects, but I want you guys to find this option right here. Yes, Rosa. I think if Tyler's there, I think Tyler has the links for you to download. Also, maybe check your email. I think it was sent by email. But again, doesn't matter. The version doesn't matter as long as you're close to 2022. If you're not using like 2017, I guess. But just be close. So again, we're gonna use universal 3D template. Okay. Because this is a better graphics. Let's just say it has more features for the graphics. So I want you guys to create a project on Universal 3D. You might need to download the template, but this is the one. Just select this one, and here is kind of straightforward. You just put your name, like put the name of your project, of your game. Maybe Escape the Graveyard. Any way that you want is your name, right? It's your game. And also the location, again, any file, any location that you want, not a big deal. And the rest, you can leave it as it is. Okay, guys? So make sure that you do this because it takes some time to create, but it's not a problem because I also going to explain a few things about Unity that you can just watch. You don't need to like follow along. Okay. Anyway, make sure that you all guys also select the version here. Right, of your version. And again, universal 3D. It's important. I'm gonna put focus on this because it's very important to have this template work. I wouldn't know too much about that, Bernie. I would prefer that you guys use the 2023, 2022, 2021. You can try, but I don't think the 6th version is the best. Anyway, you have time to download. You have time to install. Because also it's recorded, right? So maybe if you miss some steps, you can go back to the recording and see it. You can close the Unity Hub once you create. And once you finish loading there, this is the screen that you should get to. Okay, so I'll give you some time to create a project. Like try to install the version if you're still trying to install. If you don't have it installed, if you're still missing some step, just leave it downloading and just pay attention, okay? Because I can explain a lot of things here without actually doing anything, right? So maybe for now, just leave it in standby there, just leave Unity loading and pay attention here, right? No problem. It's still installing, no problem. As you guys can see, this window is like full of things, right? And we need to we kind of like, you can get scared very easily here, right? Because there's a lot of buttons, a lot of tabs. No, I would prefer if you guys install something that is not the 6.0.0.0, 2023 or lower. If you do 6, I'm not sure if it's gonna work the files that we have. But but the files will work in any other version. Okay. Well, anyway, if you guys ever used Roblox or even any other tools like Blender or any 3D tool that you have that you know, you can imagine this as a little bit of the same, especially Roblox, which is a kind of a game engine nowadays. It is very similar because what you have here is basically a field of objects in your game, right? So this is the hierarchy, and the hierarchy on the left here, it contains all the objects in your game. Like in the future, of course, it will be like the player, the trees, the scenario, whatever it is, everything, it's there. And the project tab is very important right now because we're gonna use it. The project tab is where all your files are. So all your scripts, right? Your code files, any data, any important information that you need to keep, it's gonna be there, right? Unity 6, no, I recommend to be Unity 6 is too new. The project the files that we have are ready to be on 2022, 2023, around that, okay? But if you really want to try it, if you feel comfortable, then do Unity 6. But I don't recommend it. Just because we're not sure how it'll work there, right? Unity 6 is a little bit different. Okay. Is anyone already on the screen? I don't want to. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to also like stay here waiting for everyone to download, right? Because it can get very, like, it depends on your computer, right? It depends on your internet speed. So we might, if we would have waited for everyone, maybe we would have waited for 6 hours, right? Mine see a cube, a sun, a cloud. Okay, that's okay if you see something. It's not a problem because that's what we this is all we're gonna do now. We're actually gonna import some files into Unity now, the files that we download, right? Because if you're really gonna go from a game from scratch, then we also need to learn how to model, how to draw things, and you know, we're gonna try to skip this part, right? We want to focus on more of the game development part, not like the drawing part or whatever. So the file is here. Okay, this is the file that you guys were supposed to download. The Halloween package. Okay, the only thing that you need to do when you download this file is drag this into Unity. Okay, so not actually anywhere. It is actually in the project tab. Okay, so I drag there and I release it. Okay, and it's gonna show this window, this full of like all the files that are gonna come into your project. And then, yeah, well, we want these files. What do? We click import. All right. I can try to, well, I do it again, but of course that window is not gonna happen again because I already have the files now. So you see now it added a new folder there, Halloween game. These are the files. We're gonna use the project tab. Okay, so this is very common, very similar to any computer system. Like it has folders, it has files. So it's definitely gonna be it's definitely easy to understand what is happening here on this project tab. Okay, you just need to look at the name of things. Yes, you guys will have the recording. So if you're still having trouble like opening Unity, you might wanna like try to download it there and just pay attention, and then you can rewatch the recording to just follow along, right? But anyway, again, once you download the file and if you already have Unity open, you just drag the file to the project tab. Okay, so this space right here. In this case, I already have the file, so it's already going to show that I don't have anything to put it. Oh, where you get the files from? Again, I think Tyler put a link above. I'll try to copy and paste. Oh yeah, Tyler put it there again. Yeah, you just download this file and move it to Unity. Okay, Nathan, if you're having this error, it's okay. I noticed sometimes when I did this moving, Unity crashed for some reason. I don't know why, but it's okay. You just need to, you just close it and open it again. If you have the error, it's not a big deal. It should work the same way. It is weird. I noticed this happened in another computer of mine, but it didn't happen here. And I was like, okay, it seems to be working. So to be sure that it's working, guys, let's go to our first level. Maybe first, or maybe we have more. I don't know. So I want you guys to, if you are unsure if your game is working, I want you guys to go to the folder Halloween game. So double click Halloween game. Then open scenes folder. And then open this file that is inside the scenes folder. And look at this. This is what we should see. Right? If you are seeing this, now then you're for sure like, okay, things are working. Okay, things are on the right track. Yeah, the map is sick. Yeah, so this is the fun part, right? It's your game. Of course that I already have this scenario for you guys for us to develop our game. But if you know about Roblox, especially if you already have knowledge in these kind of tools, this is going to be very easy to modify. Okay, you can modify. Again, Karen, if you're not seeing this, again, I'm going to go again to what I did. You go to Halloween game. You go to scenes and open the graveyard. If you have these errors, just close Unity and open again. Yeah, and to be sure that you have everything here, maybe sometimes. So look what I'm gonna do here very quickly. Sometimes you are far away from everything in the map, and this is our first thing that we need to do here to get used to Unity. If you go into the scene tab, you can right click and look around, right? So it's kind of like a game. It's already kind of a game. See how fun it is? You can right click and look around, and you can also WASD, W-A-S-D, to move around. So you see, I'm flying around the scenario, and I can go around the scenario and I can look at it, right? I can look at the game that we're gonna create here. So do that. It's definitely oh, if it's working in Unity 6, Peter, that's good for giving us this feedback. Maybe someone that still have to download the other version, try to do it in Unity 6. To import the file is very easy, Andre. Just move this file to the project tab. Okay, this one to the project tab. Very easy. Anyway, let me get back there. All right. So get used to this thing, because this is what I do a lot. Right click and walk around. Oh, Gustavo, yeah. So if you're seeing it all purple, I think you created in the wrong template. Again, try to create on the Universal 3D. Universal 3D, that's the problem with the graphics. If it's all purple, we might need to create again another project, Gustavo. But anyway, okay, I'll keep going here. Hopefully you guys already had some time to explore the scenario with these two inputs that I told you guys. And remember what I said about the hierarchy. It's a list of game objects, this is what we call game objects. They are physical things in our world, right, in our scenario. And let's look at what we have here. We have a bunch of them. We have props. Look what happens. I select them, and I can see all the props. I can see all the walls. I can see nature. I can see some things that we're going to use for a game. We can see pumpkins around. All right. So we have, what, eight of them here. We have one here. We have one here. And this is what we're going to use for our game. Of course, that you can modify them using these tools. All right. So you can look at these later. You can try to play around with these. There's no right or wrong. So don't worry about like messing up something. You can always re-download everything and put it again. But I really want to jump straight into coding, because I believe that's the cool part. So I wanna as less as possible, at least as possible, to do something here. I'm gonna leave this to you guys later if you're gonna modify. But look at this, very easily. You can just select these tools here in the corner, and you can move if you use the arrows, right? You can move things around. You can rotate, right? You can scale. So explore these tools on your own, because they're very simple. Okay, they're very intuitive, and of course you can do this with anything you see right now, right? You can find the object here on the hierarchy, or you can click on them as well. So I can click on the tree and I can just move them as well. I can personalize my own scenario, right? So this is up for you guys later. If you want to create a totally different scenario, that's up to you, right? You can take a whole day to create a whole town. Yeah, how do you rotate? These tools right here, guys. So there's a move tool in the corner here. Move tool, rotate tool, scale tool. What does it say? Oh, that's complicated, David. It's very debatable, but it's a good question. It's a good question. But right now, don't worry. Let's not worry about performance. I'm pretty sure this is a good scene. All right. Anyway, okay. Enough for the scenario. I really don't want to change here on my scenario. If you have this, wow, this error is weird. I don't know if things are working normal, Nathan. There, just ignore it. I don't have any errors, so I know sometimes it happens. Sometimes you need to close unit and open again. So I wouldn't say to like keep too much worry about errors if it's not interrupting your you know, the use universal 3D. Good, yes, Andre, exactly. Good one, Promethi. If you have errors that are very weird, you can also copy them and put on Google. Sometimes it shows a solution already, right? Depending on the error. But anyway, guys, let's go for a more technical thing now. Right now, we saw the scene. We have a scenario. Let's try to work on our game. How games work is that every game object, everything in our scene have a bunch of components. Okay, we call them components because they are formed by multiple components. Okay, imagine a body like my body. Let's look at your own body. You are formed of arms, limbs, legs, right? Heart, brain, eyes, and we can imagine one character in your game exactly like this, right? A character in our game is exactly as a game object, right? It has multiple components. Each component has its own functionality, right? The hands can grab, the eyes can see, and it's going to be the same for games, especially for like imagine a shoot. If you play shooters, right? Some shooters you have like weapons that you can modify the weapon and put attachments. So it's the same thing. We improve one simple game object by adding components. Okay, and a component is actually a script. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create our own component. So I want you guys to find a folder here on your project tab and right-click on the space that you want. I'm gonna do it right here first. Right-click on the space here, on the empty space, and find the option create, usually at the top. All right? Right-click here, create, and now look for C# script. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do coding, right? This is how we create a component, right? So again, imagine the human body. We need to create a script for the eyes that make it see, right? Make it see colors. Then we're going to create a script for the hands. But of course, I'm not going to do a human body here. We're just going to do some things for our game. Again, right-click, create on the top there, and select C# script. You're going to see that there's going to be a new file here. Okay, and we can name this file. I would say pumpkin, because we're going to put this component in the pumpkin. that's why. Okay, yeah, guys. So if you are on Unity 6, apparently go to create scripting and empty C#. So again, Karen, you can right-click on the project tab in here. Okay, even better, if you're not seeing, make sure that you find the plus sign here. Then look at this project tab plus sign, and then you find C# script. Should we make a script folder? You can. I'll do it later. I'll do later. Just a spoilers alert. Create. You can also create a folder, right? I'll do it later. For now, we only have one script, so it's simple, easy to find. Okay, pumpkin. What if I'm, no, it's okay. I'll teach you guys C#. That's what I'm here for. Don't worry. So, okay, we created a file. I don't want you guys to open for now, because the first thing that I want to do with this file is show you guys how this is a component. I want you guys to find any pumpkin collectible here, okay, on your scene. And I want you guys to drag the file that we created to that object. So you see, I selected pumpkin collectible here. I'm going to drag it there. Right here, you see? So I'm going to drag the file, the script that we created, I'm going to drag it there. You guys got it? Again, pumpkin to pumpkin collectible. All right? So just do it once. Don't do it twice. Okay, David, in your case, maybe delete your script and create it again. I think there was a problem maybe when you're creating. But this is a common problem. Don't worry. But look at what happens here. Pay attention to what happened here. It's a component, right? And look what shows up on the right there. Well, it's a list of components on the pumpkin collectible. Yes, we have a bunch of components here, but we also added a new one, pumpkin. This is the component that we created, right? So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna attach the script to something, and we're gonna code the script to do something, right? And for every object that it has attached to it, it's gonna do the instructions, right? Does that make sense? So also open. It maybe can be helpful for you, David, also to maybe double click the script if you're still having the error. So double click the script and let's open this. Okay, we're gonna open, it's probably gonna open a text editor. If you have Visual Studio installed, I think Unity installs Visual Studio. It should open this file right here, right? Like I'm seeing here. Okay, guys, if you're having problem with this, delete the script and create it again. So just right click and find the delete option and create it again. And name it pumpkin. Don't let it rename to something else. Just like as soon as it shows the naming space, just type something. Just type pumpkin. Yeah, and also make sure you can also, good one, Alejandra. If you're still having problem, make sure that you open your code and paste what Alejandra sent it there. Okay? Maybe that could fix it. That could fix it. Maybe not. You also need to put these. So you know what? I'm gonna send it just in case. Just in case, maybe this also fixes, right? Because your code should be looking like this. If it's not looking like this already, then you probably then you maybe try to delete it and create it again, because it should come up like this, right? It's automatic. Okay. There's a lot of things here to explain, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible, because I don't want to dump a bunch of information to you guys, right? I don't want to fry your brains out. But for now, what you guys need to see here is that there are two. We can point it out as spaces. We have two spaces to put code. We have the start, and we have update. We're gonna call these methods. Okay. So the method start and the method update. Remember what Tyler said about coding. It's a language. So in a language, we have rules to follow. We have, like we need to communicate in a certain way. We cannot just type anything, right? I cannot just type, make the pumpkin explode, right? The computer doesn't understand this. So coding has a lot of rules, and it's important to pay attention to these things. Yeah, maybe you can type to this some kind of AI, but not in here. We're not AI. But in coding, we have some certain rules. So the first rule that I want you guys to notice is these symbols right here, the curly brackets. We always want to put things inside of curly brackets. We never put them outside of them. And look at how they are aligned. We have one to begin with the start and one to end to the start. We have one to start the update and one to end the update. And we have one at the beginning of pumpkin and one at the end. And look that these things are inside pumpkin, right? Okay, so what these things are is that this start right here, it's that this, so good question for me. That's what I'm gonna explain. This start right here is gonna be for when you put instructions that happen once this game object, once this pumpkin starts in the game, right? So this is what the start means. I'm gonna put instructions that I want them to happen only once at the start of the game in here. And the update, I'll put instructions as I want them to happen every single millisecond of existence. Okay, so it's actually every frame. Do you guys know what frames are? Do you guys know what a frame in the game is? Do you know what FPSs are? Yes? So, well, anyway, it's not too much important right now, but technically this is how it happens every frame. But you can imagine as every single tick that the game is running, this is happening. So imagine this as a loop. It keeps happening. So whatever you put in here is going to happen many times in a fraction of time. Okay, so it's really a lot of times. So I want you guys to do our first command. Okay, our first command. Chanel, if it's happening this again, delete and try to create it again. Yeah, Bernie, it's a good explanation. Thank you for that. It's a good explanation. Maybe help everyone. But anyway, I want to show you guys our first command. Okay, again, if you're getting too lost, right? If you're getting too many errors, maybe try to create it again. Try to redo the steps, or maybe just like enjoy it. And if you already felt like you're already too far behind, just look at the recording later, right? Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to like help everyone here, because if not, we're just gonna spend the whole time working on errors, right? And errors can be very annoying, I understand. But anyway, our first command. My first command here, I want to make the pumpkin rotate, kind of as a cool effect. It's a very simple command, but it's good to start. So it's just an infinite rotation of the pumpkin. It's gonna look very cool. I want you guys to use a command called, so I'm gonna type it and then I'll explain it, okay? Because it's kind of a huge line, not a huge line, but it takes some space here. But look at what I'm gonna type. I'm gonna type transform dot rotate like this, okay? And for now, I'll just put 0,30,0 inside this parenthesis. So you can copy from here while I also explain what you're typing, right? But let's look at this command. And again, it needs to be exact. It's a new language, and that's what the language asks you for. Yes, it's case sensitive. So transform, you guys, it's all lowercase, right? And then we type a dot, rotate, which is the R is uppercase. And in the parentheses, we type 0,30,0. And we finish that line with curly brackets. Okay? This, I'm gonna keep here while I explain. You guys can like switch back screens and look at what is the line, right? But first of all, what is the most simplest thing here to understand is the curly brackets. Every command that we give to the computer, we always need to put at the end of the command or the end of the instruction, we need to put a curly brackets. This is a way of saying, you know, the command is done, the instruction is done, go to the next one, right? And probably if you guys forget any rule here, you're probably gonna see an error in Unity. So you're actually gonna need to go back, it's semicolon. I said something else. I think I did, right? I said semi bracket. No, semicolon. Sorry. Okay. So the semicolon, you need to put it so you finish the command, right? Andre, this error is okay. Just ignore it. It's probably something from the download of the files. But okay, this is simple to understand. It means that you cannot just keep going with code if you don't put this, right? Now, the transform, what is the transform is? Well, the transform is when we want to access things like position, rotation, scale, everything that is related to like the physical physical location of the object and physical appearance, not appearance, but physical position and rotation of the object, then we access transform. So we do transform dot rotate, because rotate is part of transform. It's a function inside transform, right? Remember, look at what I said. Transform keeps a track of position, rotation, all of this stuff, right? So we have an instruction for a transform. This is what it is, okay? A rotate instruction from a transform. And in here, we are basically telling the object how to rotate, right? We can also not just say rotate, right? Imagine if we say just rotate. Well, the computer is not going to understand rotate to where, right? We want to rotate upways, sideways, whatever, right? Again, as a programming language, we need to give the instructions clear, right? We need to be clear on our communication. So that's why we open a parenthesis and we give some values, right? And I'll tell you already that a good value is 0, 30, 0, right? So again, comma between the numbers, right? And dot rotate. Okay, everyone put this in the line there, okay? And now I'll go test it, all right? So I'll just, because we have a chat here, I'll leave it the line here in case you really like not seeing what you're putting something wrong there. I'm just gonna copy and paste there in case you like need to compare with your current code. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go back to the game and I'm gonna click this button right here, the play button. We're actually gonna play our game, okay? For the first time, we're gonna initialize our game. So click on the play button. The spaces doesn't matter. It can be without spaces, and it's a good one. Look at what happens. First of all, we already have a playable character in our game. We already have this from the files that we downloaded. So you can actually move your character with WASD when you play your game, all right? And look at your mouse, just like any other game if you played it before. But look at what our pumpkin is doing. It's spinning. Why? Well, because we set to spin, right? Didn't we put this thing to spin every frame, every single millisecond? And what we are doing is that we are rotating 30 degrees every single frame. Remember what I said? Still fast, right? But it's okay. For now, it's okay. We're gonna change it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, guys. Once you do the changes here, save it. Save the file and go back. I forgot this. It's usually so automatic that I press Control S. Control S is a shortcut to save it. But you can also click on this icon right here to save the file. Okay, and then you can go back and click play the game. Well, anyway, remember that you're playing the game now. So when we need to do when you need to go back, stop the game. So press ESC to see your mouse, press escape, and then stop the game, right? So we can keep working on it. We cannot work on the game if the game is playing, right? Like kind of the simulation is happening. Okay, so just don't just remember to do this when you're ready to practice something else, right? Okay. What is happening here right now, I want to just explain very quickly why it's happening too fast. We are spinning 30 degrees on this value right here. See? I want you guys to select the pumpkin and look at the transform. Remember that we access transform.rotate? Well, we are changing these values right here. 0, 0, 0 on the rotation of the transform, right? So it's something inside something inside something. Can be a little bit confusing, but just look at very carefully that you're gonna actually visualize these numbers, right? So 0, 0, 0, we are rotating here, 0, 30, 0, right? So what we're actually doing is that we are rotating 30 degrees, right, on the Y, and then 30 more, and then 30 more, right? So this is what we're actually doing in code, of course, not in here. These are the values that we are changing. And did you add your code to the component? I added the component, which, yeah, so again, this is the code so far that we did for the pumpkin, okay? And I added this file, I drag it to the pumpkin, okay? Well, anyway, this is what we're doing here. We're changing this number, but to adjust this, to make it a little bit better, I want you guys to increase this line a little bit. We're gonna do a multiplication with a specific number. It's kind of a magic number. So in multiplication in programming, it's very simple. We do the star symbol, which is kind of a universal multiplication symbol, and we're gonna multiply 30 times. And again, another kind of this is actually, I can call this a magic number because it's not a number itself, but it's this specific command here. Time dot delta time. This gives us a number that makes it for now it would not make it for frame. It will not make it. It would actually make it 30 degrees per second. This is what it is, and yeah, it's a star. 30 star time delta time, okay, like this. Okay, this is a constant. We can think about it as a constant, where it basically just connects to it basically just makes it be 30 degrees per second, right? So we're actually going to make it see way faster, way slower. Sorry. So again, this is the line. Make sure that you're putting it here. Right, you're not putting anywhere else. Because if you put it anywhere else, you might have errors or it might not work. Okay, so once you put this, I'll just paste it this line, so you can try to just this part, so you can try to if you're like, if you got anything wrong, try to do it by yourself, right? So you can actually practice your typing as well. Typing skills are very good, but 30 would actually be 30 degrees per second. For minute, I would say you need to multiply by 60 now. Yeah, you need to multiply this by 60. You can try doing it on your own if you want this. But anyway, save it, and let's play our game again so we can see what's happening. So now we're going to see a way slower rotation, which I believe better, right? I believe it's way better now, right? Spinning slow, yeah. Yeah, you don't need any of these things, guys. I'm just doing here just to help you guys visualize, but you don't need the spaces, right? You can code it kind of the way you want, basically. Whatever makes you see better. But anyway, okay, we got a pumpkin. Okay, we got a pumpkin running, which is, I believe it's really good in my opinion, right? Well, my idea for this game is that once we collect all of the pumpkins, this gate here opens. Okay, this can be a very simple game, but we actually, if we manage to do like, let's see how far we can go, right? Because of course that as a game, we can always implement a lot of things, right? We can implement enemies, we can implement obstacles, like different levels as well. So we can actually work on this forever. But let's see how far we can go. And not while not keeping you guys stuck here, right? Because you guys don't want to do this forever, or maybe you do. Hopefully you do. I want to do. But anyway, okay. Again, stop our game and let's keep increasing our game with cool things, right? Well, I want you guys to check if you can walk through your pumpkin as well. Actually, maybe play your game again and check if you can walk through your pumpkin, right? Do you collide with the pumpkin or not, right? I think you I cannot stop walking. That's maybe just stop playing and play it again. Maybe it's just like an input problem, like a bug that can happen maybe for pressing W to, I don't know, like it can be something very specific. But I want you guys to see that your pumpkin is already not solid, right? This is what we call a trigger. Okay, a trigger is kind of a object that is solid, but you can go through it. And think about the word trigger. What does it mean? Is basically something that makes something else happen, right? When you activate it, makes something happen. And this is what we're gonna do. What I want to do is when we trigger the pumpkin, when we're touching this pumpkin, we step inside, we make it disappear. Do you guys agree with me? Is that what we want to do? When we pick up the pumpkin, we make the pumpkin disappear, right? So again, let's open pumpkin script, okay? And remember what I said on the start and the update. What are they again? One is for when the game starts, and one is when the game keeps happening every time, right? Well, we don't want to do this in either of them. What we actually want to do is when we step in the pumpkin, right? So unfortunately, we don't have a method for that, or at least is what you would think that we don't have. We can try to make it explode with confetti. It is possible, actually, very possible. I also don't want to like do the confetti effect and we actually don't have a game. So maybe let's see if we have some time for the confetti later. But it is possible. It's very easy, actually. But anyway, we don't see a method that can help us with our mission right here. And we actually have one. It's just hidden. So I want you guys now to not type inside start or not inside update, not inside any of these. I want you guys to find a space. So like press enter, like get a new line between these methods, right? So anywhere in here, right? So in this empty space that I'm creating, any of these. Well, Karen, if you missed one, you can just pay attention because I'm trying to explain here things, right? So I'm still using theory, and you actually might learn a lot just by hearing, just by like understanding what I'm doing. You don't need to do it. Maybe you can try doing it later with the recording, but also just paying attention will help you a lot, right? You actually visualize how games work. But anyway, I want you guys to open a space here and let's type a new thing. And this new thing is actually going to be very familiar. The word is going to be very familiar. On trigger enter. Isn't that what we want to do? Don't we have a trigger there? The pumpkin is a trigger, like I said. And when we enter, the trigger. So on trigger enter. Hopefully, your Visual Studio, your tool, will autocomplete. Okay, but if it doesn't autocomplete, it's essential that you also put it like this. Okay, it's very important that you have it like this. Okay, if you on trigger enter autocomplete, that's perfect. But if it doesn't autocomplete, you need to put it like this. So again, I can also do it again if in case you don't have autocomplete. So void, which is a it's more technical. We don't need to worry about what void means, but it needs to be there to work. So void on trigger enter like this with the O, T, and E uppercase. Then we open a parenthesis and we close the parenthesis. Oh, and actually just auto-complete it for me. If it says private here, it's not a problem. You can start with private void or void, right? So I can keep the same as all the other ones so I don't like make you guys confused or anything. I'll leave it void on trigger enter. So now what this thing does is every time that I enter the trigger, this whatever I put inside here will happen, right? Because that's what this thing is, right? So again, if this is for when the game starts, everything here happens. If this is for every second that the game works, this happens. Now, if for every single millisecond, a very small frame of second on trigger enter, when we enter the trigger, then this happens. Yes, private is the same as basically C++, Java, C#. Guys, if you're not being able to create the script, or like if it's saying this error, just delete it and create it again. Maybe that can fix it. All right. Or again, maybe just like scroll up in the chat there and make sure that your code is like this. Right now, you need to see mono behavior. And next to pumpkin name with two dots here, two dots mono behavior, right? You need to see this to be able to drag and drop the script to the object. All right, on trigger enter. What do we want to do when we touch the pumpkin? Do you guys remember what I said? We want to make the pumpkin disappear. Perfect. And to make it disappear, it's actually very simple. We use a command called destroy. It literally destroys. Don't worry, it doesn't have any confetti effect, unfortunately. But destroy basically makes it go missing, makes it like not exist anymore. So we destroy, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and again, because our instruction finishes it, we have a semicolon. Well, if to get an IntelliSense is a little bit more complicated, it should come automatically, Vir, but I don't know. It can be multiple things that can happen. Maybe you need to uninstall Visual Studio and install it again. Maybe it's a plugin that is missing. It's really too, like, depends on your case. Maybe you want to like search in Google later. But anyway, destroy. Well, it's not only destroy. We actually need to say what do we want to destroy, right? And I actually, this might be a tricky question, but maybe some of you already know what I mean. Do you guys remember, what did I say that everything in the game is? The game object, right? The game object is the name of how we say the things in the game, right? Remember this. Game object is the term. Well, the same for programming. What do we want to destroy? We want to destroy everything of the pumpkin, right? So we need to destroy game object like this. So exactly like this. The G needs to be lowercase and the O needs to be uppercase. So this is what it is, the game object. We destroy the whole thing. If we put something else inside here, it's actually going to destroy maybe whatever we type. But because we want to type the whole thing, we need to type game object, because game object is the whole thing. It's the whole like concept of the pumpkin, right? It's not the one component. It's not just a transform, right? So it's the whole thing. All right. So again, these are the line. I'm going to save it. And let's go back to the game so we can test it if you can pick up our pumpkin. Okay. Can I do this? I'll go back to the code. Maybe I can leave it on the chat again. Not quickly, Marisol, unfortunately. Maybe you need to like do some steps. There's like different steps. I would suggest to search it on the internet. Even ask. I saw that some of you guys were talking about ChatGPT. Maybe even ask ChatGPT, because unfortunately, every case of this problem right there is different. Usually it should come automatically, but sometimes it's just, it doesn't work. Sometimes it's just like in the installation, it doesn't like happens immediately. So let's try it. Our pumpkin is running. It's spinning, and then I can maybe touch the pumpkin and it's working. Perfect. Perfect, right? We are very close to a game. Now we just need to well, a basic game would I just make it like, okay, as soon as I collect all of them, I open the gate, which still requires some, well, it actually requires another script only other component. But I want you guys to look at the other pumpkins in our game. The other pumpkins in our game are not doing this, right? It's not collecting, it's not spinning. Okay, you open the Halloween package. Maybe, Philip, you can open the folder Halloween game here. Open scenes. And double-click this thing right here. This is the scene. Okay, so, well, okay, there's one problem here, guys. The pumpkins, not all the pumpkins are working, right? Do you guys know why not? Can you guys maybe make a guess? I would love to hear a guess from you guys to see if we are on the same page. Okay, it could be related to the prefab, Alejandra, but okay, Vir got it. It's individual. We added the script only to one pumpkin, not all of them. Okay, so there's one here, there's one there, there's one here behind the tree, one there. Okay, you guys are right. It's not plugged into everyone. It's not attached to everyone. I like the word plugged. Never use that one, but I usually use attach, right? We attach the script. One thing that you could do, if you like manual labor, you need to go to all of them and add it, right? So you go to this one and add it, this one and add it, this one and add it. But we have something in Unity, these blue objects right here, these are called prefabs, which means that you can actually do only to one and applies to all of them. This is what a prefab is. It saves us time in situations like this, right? When we do the script, and we need to add to all of them at the same time. Prefabulous. Good. I like that. So for example, how to do this? How can I add one script that is on my pumpkin one? How can I add it to all of them at the same time? Well, I can go in the pumpkin, and you see how also the pumpkin script is blue here on the right? Well, you can right-click on this pumpkin script, which is the one that we created. Right-click on this one, find the added component, and apply to, oh, okay, actually we need to do a little bit different. Forget it what I was doing. Better yet, I want you guys to find the folder prefab. Okay, find the folder prefab. Halloween game prefabs. Thank you, Alejandro. Yeah, for anyone that is like just caught up now. But open the folder prefab and open the pumpkin collectible. I want you guys actually do a little bit different. That's how I organized it initially here. There is a space here that is the missing monoscript, like the same that is like a missing script here. Well, I think that actually the best thing to do here is to drag the script into this field right here. You see how it's saying missing? Find your script and drag it there. This is the best option. That's the easiest option that you can do, because that's how I organized it before. I left this thing here so we can actually, I already could tell you guys, okay, this is the space that we should have the pumpkin script. So again, find this thing here that is saying that is an error and just drag the pumpkin file, the pumpkin script into here. Okay, this is what we need to do. You got it? And once you've done this, you can leave this. You can like click on this icon right here and just save it. If you just like, sometimes this thing takes some time to show up, but it will show up. But just save it. And if you do this correctly, you're going to see that all pumpkins now have the pumpkin script. You see, because this is what a prefab is. You guys understand? So I can do it again very quickly. You can uncheck. So yeah, good question, Stanley. So this is what I'm going to do now. Again, open the prefabs folder, find the prefabs folder, double click on the pumpkin, and make sure you drag the pumpkin C# script to that field that you had. If you don't have the field, it's okay. If you have it like this, for example, you could just drag the pumpkin here. Just drag the pumpkin script here. Okay? Very easy. It's always drag and drop. It's always drag and drop. Should be very, very simple. And drag it and save it. Now you can actually delete. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but you could actually delete the additional one that we have in the first one. See here? All of them have one now, but the first one actually has two, which is funny. Well, we don't want them to be two, so you could just right click on the blue one, the blue highlighted one, and remove component. Okay, so that's perfect. All of our pumpkins now are collectible. Okay, that's really good. Let's test it. And again, this is why it's so useful to have prefabs. This is really good. So I can collect one, right? Well, great. I can collect this one. Perfect. I can collect this one. Perfect. Could just write the C# script in the prefab. Well, the prefab needs to have a C# script attached to it. It's always going to be like this. Maybe this one is, I need to move this into a better place. You see how I cannot pick this one, but it's okay. It's not a problem. Let's try to find a new one. I think there's one here. Yeah. Okay, so we see that all pumpkins are working. That's for sure. That's really good. There's two. Yeah, so if they are stuck, maybe that's a good time to practice the move tool that I told you guys. Remember? I can select the pumpkin and I can move it around with the move tool. So maybe this one seems too hard to take it. I'll put it in here, right? Which might be more easier to get. It can be easier to get. All right, perfect. Well, if you fell into a hole, maybe I don't know if this is the one. This is a hole that I try to. I got stuck once, but I fixed it before sending the files here. So I was just checking if there was any bugs in my scene, and I think I fixed this one. But if not, again, you can also, there's a hidden pumpkin here, guys. So if you're getting stuck in this hole, just move the pumpkin to another place, right? I don't want you guys to get into this hole right here. It's a grave, right? Kind of too dark even for a Halloween game, I guess. Anyway, guys, let's do our code that checks. We can work on the jump functionality later, But let's now first, we're very close to make something that as soon as we collect all of them, we escape, right? Let's do this next code now, right? If we're all good with the pumpkin. I think for the pumpkin, it's very like, okay, it's working, right? What else we could do with the pumpkin, right? Well, let's add something that opens the door. I know explode is cool, but okay, I'll try to do the explode after this one. Okay, is that okay? Which is actually a good thing to do. It's a good command. It's a very important command, I would say, to make the explode happen. Anyway, I want to make now a script, a code that opens the door, that destroys the door maybe once every pumpkin is collected. For this, we can call something. Well, we can name this the game manager. So I want you guys to right-click again here on the project tab, create, and C# script again, right? Another file, this time not a pumpkin. This time a game manager. You can name it something else as well, but I don't know. I would prefer game manager, right? Because it's kind of like the one that manages the game, right? It kind of manages if you won the game or if you lost, right? So again, right-click, C# create, and C# script, right? And name it a game manager. This is what we're doing. Okay. Well, as always, open, right? If you already created, and we should get to the same screen as the other one at the beginning. Okay. Just make sure you create it. Make sure you open. If you want, you can already drag to the gate. You can select the gate and drag it there. It's not you can put it anywhere you want as long as you remember what it is. So I'll just drag the game manager to the gate. Okay. Yeah, that's yeah, Karin. It's interesting, but unfortunately, really, if you send me the error message, maybe we can help you on the Q&A, maybe, but it depends on the error. Maybe you need to ask the Google, right, or best friend. You can see the code. So Melissa, try to go again and double click it again. Like while you have Visual Studio open, double click it again. Because maybe you open Visual Studio, but you didn't open the code. Double click the script. Yeah, double click the script to open. Sorry. Yeah, Mac's a little bit different, guys, but and unfortunately I never had Mac. So if someone there on the chat has Mac and knows a little bit more about Unity on Mac, then also feel free to help everyone. We would love your help. Mac can be sometimes different. I am dragging this to the gate, Chanel. You can put it. I think the gate is the best place. So drag it to the gate. All right. What do we need now is a number. It's a counter of how many pumpkins we collected. And to have numbers in programming, we actually need to create a space for them before. And this is what we call a variable. I want you guys to come, actually not inside any method here. I want you guys to find a spot between the curly bracket of the game manager. So see this curly bracket here, the curly bracket here, and the start. So like here. Okay, this is the usual space where we create variables or numbers, right? Sometimes components, they need to have number. Just as any other player, like any other thing, imagine a number for the speed of the player, the damage of a weapon, maybe the strength of the jumping of the player, right? These are all numbers. These are all represented by numbers. And to create a number in C#, we do it in this space right here, and we type this thing right here, public int, and this third part is a name for your variable. So you can actually name it anything, but I'll name this pumpkins collected, like this, because we cannot put spaces in here. So if you want spaces, you do it like this, or you do it like this. Like this is a normal way of programming in like you say that the words are separated by the uppercase. Yeah, this is called camel case. Thank you very much. So you can either do this or like this. I'll do it like this so you guys can easily see what is happening here. Again, create the space right here before the start and after the curly bracket of the class. What this thing is a variable. Public, because we want to be able to see from everywhere, okay? Integer, int, because it's short for integer, and integer means a whole number. So there's no decimal points, there's no like 0.5, 1.7, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So this is what an int is, and this is the name of the number. Like how do we identify, what do we call this thing, right? It cannot be just a number, you need to have a name for it. So if you put this line, again, I'll put it this line here, just in case someone's like copying and it's not working, right? Because again, programming can be, it needs to be exact in some things, right? But if you put this line here, again, save it and go back to Unity, look what we can see when we select the gauge, or better yet, anything that you attach the game manager to. We have a field for a number. So we can change the, well, right now it's 0, but oh, if it didn't work for you, Alejandra, maybe refresh, maybe press Ctrl+R, or maybe go to assets and click refresh. This actually goes for anyone, not Alejandra. Oh, okay, no problem. But sometimes it takes some time for Unity to update, but this is what we should see now, okay? A number, right? We can change this number to be 1, right? 100. We can type anything here. It's like a field for numbers, and this is what we need, okay? All right? But because we have pumpkins collected 10, well, no, right? We need to start the game with 0. And what we're gonna do is, every time that we collect a pumpkin, we should increase the number by 1. Does that make sense for you guys? So we should, like now we're seeing 0, but we touch this pumpkin and now we should see 1, right? And then we should see 2, and then we should see 3, and it goes on, right? Yeah, I hope that makes sense, right? I mean, it makes sense in my head at least. So what we do here is we need to access the game manager, not from here actually, but from the pumpkin. We need to call, okay, at the same time that I touch the pumpkin, I need to tell the game manager that a pumpkin was collected. And this is where we start to like look into more like how games really work, right? Because in a real game, and this is how now it starts to be a real game. In a real game, we don't have only one script to do everything, right? We have one script for the pumpkin, and then we have for the game manager, right? And then we need to keep talking between them. Sometimes can get very confusing because we have many codes communicating with each other. But for now, it's going to be simple, I believe, that we're only going to have 2. You see that I drag the window of the code to be next to them, so we can actually see them both at the same time. Right, so if you want to try doing this, it's okay. If you don't, it's also okay. I'm just doing this so we can actually see them both at the same time. So what did I say that we need to do? We need to, as soon as we touch the pumpkin, right, when we on-trigger enter, we need to increase pumpkins collected. But it's not that simple, right? I cannot just say game manager increase pumpkins or something like this, right? I cannot do this because game manager is somewhere that the pumpkin doesn't know what it is, right? Like, let's think about the computer. The computer is like a memory of a bunch of things existing at the same time. How can the pumpkin knows where the game manager is located, right? How can I access game manager? We're going to use one command called find object of type, okay? Like this. I'll type it like this. And you guys can follow along. Find object of type. I think the name is very straightforward for what this thing does, right? So find object of type, well, when we don't know where something is, we need to find the object at a certain point to actually access it, right? So find object of type, and actually this is not complete yet. As soon as you type find object of type, you need to actually pass what type do you want? So what type am I trying to find? What object am I trying to find? It's not a simple object, right? So we actually use these symbols to tell what type are we using. So the game manager, perfect. We need to find the game manager. So we type here, game manager. And we finish with the parentheses. Okay, if you put the curly brackets, you even see that you don't have any errors in your code. It is actually working already, but we're not doing with anything. So this command, it finds anywhere, whatever it is going to find a game manager for us and will allow us to access something. Okay, good. Okay, we're almost done with this logic actually, because right now, remember what the dot that we typed on transform dot rotate? Well, if this whole thing finds us a game manager, okay, considering that this whole line finds us a game manager, that means that we can type dot pumpkins collected, because it found us a game manager. It located for us one, and then we can type dot pumpkins collected because we're accessing the pumpkins collected inside game manager. Does that make sense? Maybe it can be a little bit confusing, but it's okay because I can explain, right? But again, just to make sure that it's clear, this whole thing itself finds a game manager, right? Locate for one. And once it finds it, we can actually access pumpkins collected from the one that we found, right? So what do we need to do with pumpkins collected when we're collecting pumpkin? Considering that this is a number, what do we need to do with it? I said it before, right? What is the step here? What do we need to do? We need to decrease it, +1, perfect, +1. In programming, we have many ways of writing +1. Devin already told us one. There's a really good shortcut in programming to do a +1, which is just 2 plus signs after the number. Okay? To help you understand what the 2 plus signs is the same thing as saying that is equal to pumpkins collected +1. Okay? But this is so much easier. And yes, also there's another one. We have a += one, right? But I would say that ++ is the shortest answer here, the best answer here. Okay? So as soon as so what is happening now is when we enter the trigger of the pumpkin, we tell the game manager to increase pumpkins collected, and we also destroy the pumpkin. Let's test our game. Yeah, so find object of type, it actually finds you any component that you create or any component that also Unity has. So you can actually find other things, right? You can find object of type. Just an example here. This is not for a copy. This is not for follow along. But you can find object of type camera, right? Because we have a camera in our game, right? This is our player. We have a bunch of things that you could find. There's no uses for that now, but in the future, you would use this sometimes to find things that you don't know where you are, right? But anyway, again, this is the line. I'll also maybe paste it here because maybe if you're like falling behind, you just need to see it working. Again, try to write it on your own. This is essential for you to learn. If you just copy things, if you just ask AI to do it for yourself, you don't learn, right? So make sure you try to copy it first. And if it's really okay, you're missing a letter, if you're missing something, then you try to check the line that I pasted there. How do I refresh? Well, first of all, make sure that you save your code, right? Click on the save icon here in the Visual Studio. And when you go back to Unity, if you are on Windows, you can try to pressing Ctrl-R, or maybe go to Assets and look for a refresh. I don't know if Mac is different. I think Mac can be a little bit different. But you should have a refresh button to make sure that things are updating. But anyway, I want to select the... Oh, look at what I had here, guys. I also had a game manager object, but I'm gonna keep using the gauge with the game manager that I had because I wanna use this. Did you put this code in the gate? I put this in the gate. I just realized it now that we had a game manager before. You can do it in the game manager, but I put in the gate. It says I collected 70,000 pumpkins. You need to look at this. Where did you put this line? Right? If you put this line on the update, then you like add one every single second. But if you put this only on the on trigger enter, then it should be different, right? And maybe that's why you need to look at it. Okay, let's test it. And I want to play the game while we look at the game manager, because I want to see if it's increasing. Okay, so click on the play button, and let's see. So I have 0. I should touch the pumpkin, and now I have 1. Perfect. Now I should have 2. Perfect. Oh, we are very close to a game. 3. Now 4. Perfect. That's really good. We just need to make something disappear now once we get to a certain number, right? It's not letting me play the game for some reason. Chanel, I want you to maybe see in this area right here where I've seen a yellow thing. See if you're seeing some red things, and also click in here, and you should see the console tab. The console tab, guys, might be important for everyone as well. The console tab is where you see your errors. If you have errors, you should see in this bar right here, and you could also see on the console if you click on that bar, on the black bar, right? The errors help you fix them, right? Sometimes you don't know what the error is, so you should be able to see the error and be able to identify what is it. Okay, Philip, for your case, I want you to open your, when you open the pumpkin prefab, it's very simple. When you open the pumpkin prefab, make sure that you deleted the previous script. There's like an empty script, right? So maybe add it to remove the one and add the pumpkin again. Oh, Chanel, try to close and open your Unity again. Because this looks to be something from Unity. Maybe just try closing and opening. All right. Okay. Perfect. We have a pumpkin of a counter of pumpkins collected. Right? Does anyone agree with that? Does everyone got this part? Yeah. All right. Okay. This is the line that we communicate with the game manager, and we increase a number. Okay. What do we want to do now? The easiest way to do this, how can we make this gate go missing once we collect a certain number of pumpkins? Well, the easiest way is to destroy the gate once we get to a certain number, right? This is the most easy way. But I'm going to do a little bit different. What I'm going to do is, well, not different. I need to teach you guys a new thing, actually. Is a if. What is a if something happens? This is what we're gonna do. If pumpkins collected is higher or is equal to 10, we escape the game, right? And what I'm gonna do here is literally gonna type if. If. This is the word that we want to use. If with parentheses. This is a conditional. In programming, this is what actually you can do only in a certain condition. Okay, we can say if the gauge was, if the pumpkins are higher than 10, we destroy the gauge. Okay, so for example, if parentheses pumpkins collected equal 10, this is what we need to type. Equal. So note that this is it's not only one equal, we need to do 2. This is what we are saying that it's a comparison. Okay, we are comparing 2 numbers. If pumpkins collected is equal to 10, right? If we get to 10 pumpkins, then we can do something. How do we do something? Like this, with curly brackets. Again, this is another point where many can get confused because you can get lost in the curly brackets, but pay attention to the dotted lines. Okay, this is how you can see which one ends and which one begins. They always need to end. They always need to begin and they always need to end. animate the gates open. That can be done, but also like we have a lot of requests already. So I'll see what else we can do besides this. But first of all, let's just destroy the gate. Let's just make it simple. Okay. There are only 8 pumpkins. Yes, Peter, I was going to check this. Maybe not 10 then, maybe just 8. So if pumpkins collected equal 8, then we can destroy the gate, right? Does that make sense? Well, the reason now that I attached my game manager to the gate is that I could just destroy the game manager itself. I can just do the same thing that I did with the pumpkin, right? I can destroy game object. But yeah, nice, correct, Peter. But if you didn't attach the game manager to the gate, you might need to do a little bit different. I want you now to create so look what I'm going to do. If this is what you need to do, if you didn't attach the game manager to the gate. If you didn't attach the game manager to the gate, you need to type public game manager here. No, not sorry, game manager, not game manager, sorry. Game object, and call this gate, right? This next to the number, right below the pumpkins collected number. And this is the game object that you destroy. Okay, so instead of destroying game object, you can destroy gate. Okay, maybe I'll leave it like this because it will work for either way. So destroy gate. Like this. You create a space for a game object and you destroy that game object, right? Okay, does it make sense? Any questions about this? Because that's a more specific case, right? Specific situation. The only thing that you need to be aware of is that now you have a field to drag and drop a gate here. Look at the game manager now. There's gate, none. Well, you need to drag the gate there. That's what you need to do. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to drag the gate there. From the hierarchy to this field. Okay? All right. So once I collect 8 pumpkins, my gate should be destroyed. And basically, our game would be kind of concluded, but yeah, we can change this later, Jessica. But let me try this way, and then we can always improve it, of course. So I should collect. I have 4 already. You guys should be trying that as well on your computer. 5. I have 1 here. 6, 7. Where's the other one? Oh, I found it. Oh, I don't think I'm gonna be able to collect it. Ah, no. Okay, let me try it again very quickly. Let me move. That one is also a little bit like too close to the wall. So I need to move it a little bit far from it. Okay, let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. Yes, India, we will get recording of that, so you can actually follow these steps again and again and again until you actually memorize them. Because and you can also like modify your game as much as you want, right? You can actually move things around if you want. Oh, I think I got all of them. Let's see if the gate is open. Oh, I think it is. Oh wow, we escaped. We finally escaped, and yeah, okay, good. That's great. Well, we have a full cycle of a game. Of course, that we can try adding now. So let's look at what we have left, like to actually make it perfect game, right? We could add effects to the pumpkin, right, when it gets destroyed. We could add a game over screen, right, when we reach past the gate. We can, what else do you guys said that we could do? Well, we could add enemies. This is what I also have here. We have an enemy ghost here, where we could add this to be an enemy, but it's always up to the time, I guess. Tyler, how are we with time? Like, how much time should we keep going with this?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So we're good to keep going as long as people in the crowd are okay to keep going. I kind of said like an hour to 2 hours total for the session. And I think we're still within the 2 hour mark. We've had about another 20 minutes or so for that. So.
Okay. All right. Perfect. What do you guys want then? I want to see something in the chat. Effects or like UI, like a screen, game over screen. Let me give you guys some suggestions. Explosion, party, both. Okay. I'll teach you. Well, let's go for the effect of the confetti. However, I'll not do very like fancy confetti, just so we can actually like do also the screen, the game over screen. Well, I want you guys to try adding. I want you guys to add something here. No, you know what? Open your pumpkin. Okay. Open your pumpkin prefab, and I want you guys to add. Right click here on the inspector. Look at this. Right click on the inspector, and go to the effects. Right, like we're trying to add, and particle system. Okay, so again, right click, effects, particle system in the hierarchy there, below the pumpkin. So a particle system is actually it is basically a confetti that you can customize and do whatever you want. And I'm gonna try to do very simple customization here. I don't wanna like, because you have a lot of settings here. Okay, so I would just suggest if you like really want to do a confetti, try to do it, right? It's like very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. You have things as start color, and you can actually set to be a random gradient of colors, or random colors actually. So it's very powerful. As I said here, I set to be a random color of a gradient. It's just like it's a very fun tool to do. I'm not gonna do a confetti. I'll just do an explosion. So I'll set to be a color, maybe orange, and maybe not looping. You see here, I'm messing with the changes. Like it's a very powerful tool, but it is, as you guys are like so excited for the confetti, I'll probably add some effects only. So I'll not loop. So my effect right now is like this. For 5 seconds, it sprays particles. I will go, however, to the emission settings and change this to not rate over time. So I'll change rate over time to 0, but instead I'll add a burst. Okay, if you don't care about effects in your game, I really don't worry about it, right? I'm doing just as a request, because a burst happens this instead, right? So again, restart. I can click on restart here and see the effect playing. I can also add gravity, I think, if I go here and change gravity modifier to 1, which now the effects look like this, which I would say for me, I'm already pretty much comfortable with this, because I still need to make it a programming part, right? Again, you can take your like 2 hours playing with this tool and you can make really cool effects, right? You can make random colors, make random shapes of things, whatever. I'm gonna keep it simple like this, just so we can also do the screen. But particle system, okay, what we need to do now is once we pick up this thing, we make this thing appear. Once we pick up the pumpkin, we make this thing appear. So what I need you guys to do is, there's a lot of ways of doing this, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to turn this particle system into a prefab. Remember? I'm going to, remember the pumpkin is a prefab, but how to turn this thing into a prefab. I'm going to drag the particle system to the project tab, okay? This is how you turn something into a prefab. Okay, so again, you just need to drag the particle system, again, I'm going to do it again. Drag the particle system to the project tab right here. And you're going to see that it's going to generate a blue file. This is a prefab. Remember? So you can actually delete this now if you have the prefab, right? And what we need to do is a very we're going to use a very common method, a very function that is to spawn things. So I want you guys to open the pumpkin script, sorry, pumpkin prefab. And before destroying the pumpkin, I want you guys to type this command right here, instantiate. Instantiate is a command that creates a copy out of something and puts somewhere in the world. It's a very common, it's a very important one. It's very useful, right? Because you in games usually create copies of enemies, right? You could actually if you learn this, you're actually ready to make an enemy, because you already know triggers and you already know to instantiate. So actually, you can actually challenge yourself and do an enemy afterwards. But instantiate creates a copy of something. And what do we want to create a copy of? Particle system, right? So let's create a public game object effect. We can name this effect here at the top. Again, the same way as I did with the gate, okay? This thing already did it before. A public game object effect. And when I instantiate, what do I instantiate? I create a clone of the effect. So I say effect. Okay, the next two commands are basically, you're gonna need to kind of trust me on that one, but I'm gonna say like this: transform.position and comma quaternion. I'm gonna need to do like this just to make sure that it will work, and I'll explain it to you again. So again, it's a long line. I'll put it in the chat here so you guys can compare. What do we have here? We created a variable to an effect. Okay, so we created the space for the effect that we want to spawn, that we want to create. And before destroying the pumpkin, we instantiate, right? We create a clone of that effect. And what we do here on these lines, first of all, is what do we create, right? What do we instantiate? This is the correct term. The second thing after the comma is where do we put this thing, which is the transform.position. Well, transform.position is actually the position that the pumpkin is. Okay, this is what it means. It's the position of where the pumpkin class, the pumpkin script is. And quaternion.identity is actually nothing. That's why it is a little bit weird. I wouldn't explain what is quaternion is, but I basically, when we type this, it's basically like, okay, the same rotation as the effect is. Okay, are you guys okay with that? It's just kind of a trust me. Like I know it's like a few words that we don't know what they are, but it is what it is. It's just like keeping the same rotation as before. We don't want to mess with the rotation of the particles. And yeah, so again, this is what we do. We instantiate an effect at the position of the pumpkin at the rotation of what the effect is, okay? Let's go to our pumpkin prefab again, and look what we have now on the pumpkin code. A place for the effect. So let's drag our effect there, the prefab that we created, and just like that, as soon as we pick up the pumpkin, if you drag the particle system to the effect slot, we should see the effect being created every time that we collect a pumpkin. So this is done. Well, it's maybe too fast to see it. Let's see. Maybe it's too low. But again, like I said, guys, this is actually up for you to play around the effect. Maybe if I quickly just change the delay, so if I put a start delay here, maybe it would be better to see. But again, it's a very, very powerful tool. You need to be able to mess with the values. So see, now it's kind of more visible, although it looks weird. But again, like I said, to make a confetti is possible. You just need to be very creative with that. Yes, I'll go back to the script and I'll show you guys the two lines that we added. First is instantiate, and the other one is a variable, the public game object effect. So now it's actually, after this, you can actually play around with your effect, do whatever you want, change the color, mess with the values. There are a lot of tutorials online, websites online that shows you how to do different effects. So if you want a specific effect, maybe that's, you can try it, or you can also just search it. All right. Okay. I'll go for the screen now. For the pumpkin that's hiding behind the tree. When I go to play the game, suck back. Well, you need to don't change it while you're playing the game. Make sure that you're not changing while you're playing the game. Go to the without playing, right? The play button not playing. Then you move the pumpkin. All right. It should be saved once you click play. That's what I did, and it still didn't work. Still got back to the same place. That's curious. Well, try changing again. Like try and put it in a very different place. If that's the case, maybe just delete that and put another one again into the game. You can put another pumpkin in the game by just dragging the prefab to the place. You see, just need to position. But you can drag it from here to the scene. I can put it anywhere. All right, let's do a quick game over screen. Okay, to do a game over screen, to do UI, we actually need to change to a 2D view here. We need to click on this button right here on the top. Okay, guys, click on this one because a UI is it's a 2D visual thing, right? Like it's a two-dimensional. It's not a 3D-dimensional. So we need to create. The first thing we need to create here is a canvas. So I want you guys to go in the hierarchy here, right click, and look for UI field, right? Because this is what we want to create, a UI. So UI canvas. Okay, is that fair enough? Find the canvas option here. Right click, UI canvas. Good. So a canvas, it's actually a very big object, but that's okay. You leave it big, leave it as it is. Double click on the canvas that you create and imagine as a real canvas. It's a space where you can put images, text, whatever you want. And this is what a UI is in Unity. First thing that we can do, maybe add a background to this canvas. Don't you guys think? We can do this by going to UI again and adding a panel. Look what happens. Look what happens in our game now. You guys see that? Yeah, try doing it. Add a canvas, and in the canvas, right click to the canvas and add a UI panel. Okay? Of course, you can change this image. Look at this thing. Look at this component right here. You can change the color of it, so you can do whatever you want with the color, right? Maybe put something that you want. Maybe Halloween theme would be like kind of an orange one. Okay, perfect. I like this one already. Okay, you can also change the transparency and this value right here. So again, up to you always. It's your game. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Just play around with the values. And also, why not also add a text, right? Like, oh, you escaped the graveyard or something like this. Let's do this by again going to right click, UI, and text at the top there, text mesh pro, right? If you click on this one, you're actually going to need to click on another button before, which is okay. Just click on the import TMP essentials. This is all we need to do, right? So just click on the first button, and once it loads, you can close it as well, and you should see a text in your screen, right? So if you select the text, again, bunch of numbers here, bunch of settings that you can just play around with them and see what they do. You have a field here to change your text, right? You can put game over here and it would actually be updated there on the screen. Or also, maybe you escaped the graveyard, right? Because this is our game, right? You can put bold. You could change the font. I don't think we have another font here, but you can also download free fonts from the internet if you find any free fonts. You can change the size of the text, right? Okay, all right, good. Thank you, Rebecca. You can change the font size. You can change the color, right? So maybe maybe black color, maybe yellow. Why not yellow, right? It's like still kind of Halloween. Maybe purple as well. Again, always up to you. How would you get off the island? This island right here? Well, then it's another level. Okay. Anyway, well, you can also alignment. I'm gonna put alignment to the center, and now I can go back to the scene. Look at the scene, and you can also drag in around your text like this. So this is the rect tool, right? Which has very useful in UI. So you can kind of like scale it around the way you want, and just you know, put it as you want, right? I don't know. I really don't know what could I tell you guys, because I'm doing this like my own thing, right? But you don't need to do the same thing, right? Just try to move it around. Feel like what you feel like it's most pretty for you. How do I add an element to the hierarchy tab? Oh, you just right click on the hierarchy tab, and you can find like objects to add here. If you want to add to the canvas, remember you need to add a canvas to have a UI, and go to UI, right click and right click on the canvas as well to add inside the canvas, right? So then you can add UI panel and UI text. Okay. Well, I don't think we have images here on this packages. Maybe I could add another image, and let me see. I can add UI image. Where is the image? And if I add an image, I can actually select a file that I have from my my project, but I don't have any. So again, you can actually download a PNG. You can take a PNG that you have, like your own face, and put it here as well. And it would actually, like, you'll be able to drag and drop here. But again, I don't have an image of myself here, so I'll not put this. How do I center the text on the canvas? It's easy. You can just, first of all, like when you select the rect tool, and you can actually try to put it in the center of it. You see how it can actually has blue lines when you try to get close to it? And you can also align. So you use alignment options here on the text to actually put them in different alignments. Right, so just put the ones on the center. Okay, for now, I'll leave it the screen like this. And what I'm gonna do is actually disable. So look at this. I have a checkbox on the top there. I can disable the screen, right? Because right now we didn't escape the graveyard, right? I have the canvas, but because I don't want to play the game with this showing up, right? I don't want to like play the game and see that you escape the canvas, right? You escape the graveyard. Well, what I can do is disable the canvas object, right? So disable like this. And once I have all the pumpkins collected, once I escape the graveyard, then I show the screen. How can I do it? I'm gonna give you guys a hint. Actually, I'm gonna go out of 2D mode again, and I'm gonna go back to the graveyard. Let's see what it is. It's a very small thing. It's right there. Okay, like this. What is one thing that we learned that once we reach a certain area, we can make something happen? What is the name of this thing? You got to remember, events, close. It is kind of an event, but it is something that the pumpkin has, right? The pumpkin has something that when we step into, we activate something, a trigger. Yes, let's create our own trigger. Very quickly, I want you guys to add a 3D object to the hierarchy and add a cube. And I want you to place this cube at, it can actually do anything else, but I'll add a cube so we can actually see the trigger. So I'll add a cube here on the stairs, okay? And like this, I'm gonna reposition this thing like this. This is a good practice already for you to try to you know, like move things right around. So what I'm gonna do, again, what I asked you guys to do is to create a cube. Right click on the hierarchy, 3D object, and cube. And then you position this cube at the exit, okay? In here, maybe. How do I hide my scene? I don't know exactly what you mean, sorry. like maybe like this, like you want to click on this arrow right here. Hide my canvas. Oh, select your canvas and uncheck the checkbox on the top there. This is the one, right? We don't want to, we want to hide, right? Like this. Okay. Now on the trigger, you know what we need to create a new script. Okay. So maybe again, create, you know what? No, that'll be too complicated. Just let's create a new script. C# script and exit trigger. I'm going to call this. Again, you're going to see that actually we're just going to follow the same steps. We're going to create a trigger. We're going to create a new trigger. Sorry, not a new trigger. We're going to create a onTrigger enter inside the script. Okay. So again, void onTrigger enter like this. And well, okay, so far it's basically what we did before. But the only thing that we need to do is have first a drag and drop to the canvas. So like this, remember, we also did this. Game object, we can call this canvas. Like this, okay. First line in this new script is this one. All right? And when onTrigger enter, what do we need to do with the canvas? Show it, right? Because right now it's hidden. So how to show a canvas? It's always in a game object. We can say canvas dot set active. This script is being applied to the trigger, to the box that we added. Okay, remember that? I'm gonna do it right now. I'm just doing this thing very simple because it's just a few couple of lines. Because we also want to have a Q&A section, right? So I don't want to take the time out of the Q&A. But look at this. onTrigger enter. As soon as we enter the trigger, we set the canvas set active to true. Why true? Well, set active true is the equivalent of checking this checkbox. This is what we do. This is what we're doing by code. We are checking this check mark, this box right here. So that's why I want you guys to start disable. I want you guys to click on this thing to make it uncheck. So we do this by code. And now we just need to add that script. We actually have two other things to do. This script that we created, again, there's just these two lines here. I'm actually even gonna paste it here. Just these two things that we added. Only two more steps so we can actually make it work. Of course, that we need to add this script to the cube that we added. So let's add exit trigger to the cube. Also, mark the box collided as trigger. You see this checkbox here? Is trigger. If we don't check this as is trigger, it doesn't work, right? Because we created onTrigger enter. But if it's not trigger, then it doesn't work, right? It's not onTrigger enter. So we also need to check is trigger, okay? And in here, what do we need to drag here? Look at this none game object. We cannot leave things as none. What do we need to do with the none? What do we need to drag there? You guys realize what we need to do? What is the object that we need to set active to true? Is the canvas. Perfect. So I'll drag the canvas there, and our game should be working as soon as I collect 8 pumpkins. I should see the canvas turning to true as soon as I collect all of them. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This one is hidden. Let's see. The gate is destroyed, right? The gate is not there anymore. And if I step on that box right there, you escape the graveyard. Perfect. We have a success message. All right. Well, this is the. I even gonna, you know, I'm gonna delete this just so you guys maybe, if you're still looking at the code, right? Just in case you're like just trying to catch on this. I'm gonna clear up the code. This is what I'm doing here. But yeah. We have a pretty solid game, I would say. Of course, that as always, we can add bunch of stuff. You can like take your you can also use this time like maybe at your free time, you can still work on this project and try new things out, right? From what we learned the particles, we learned on trigger enter. But Unity is so complex, we have so many things that we could do. But yeah. Well, that was really fun. That was really cool. The chat recorded as well. Tyler, would you know that?
Yeah, I think so. The chat messages should still be here when you come back to watch the full recording of the video too. So yeah, I'll share a few things in just a moment here too, and then we can try and do a quick Q&A if there's some questions there that people have. But yeah, everything will be available for recording afterwards there. So, but yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, Rafael, if you were still finishing up or if you had anything else you had to add it in for that. That's it.
No, it's all good. All the
Awesome.
all the requirements for a game.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, like you said, you could probably iterate on it a million times and just keep adding and doing more, and then get into new levels. And somebody asks how you get off the island, and it's like, all right, well, that's in level 2, you know. So this is one of my favorite workshops that we do throughout the year. I also love Halloween, so I selfishly love that this one's connected to the Halloween holiday too. So so awesome. Well, everyone, I'm just going to share some quick information here. If there's anything that you missed or that if you had to leave and drop out, you can always come back and watch this recording. You should be able to just follow along. And the benefit there is that you can actually kind of pause it and you can rewind and go back too. So if there's anything that you just took an extra minute for you to kind of catch on, the recording's probably your best friend for that. So, but what I'll do, Raf, it's okay. I'm just going to close your shared screen there.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And then I'm just going to reshare the presentation screen here that I had earlier. And I previewed it for everyone way earlier in with the financing screen that came after this one, which is hilarious. That's the first thing I did. But I'm just going to quickly share some contact information and finance. Yeah, I'm going to share some contact information here. I'm going to share some QR codes for the course pages in case anybody has any questions or if they want to take a look at the courses that we offer. And then this is the one that came up earlier. Just in general, I'd just like to mention that there is bootcamp financing available. I think one of the questions in the questions tab earlier asked about scholarships for our courses. And sometimes we have external scholarships that come in, but for the most part, we'll have early bird discounts that kind of roll through at different timelines. And then we have bootcamp financing available. So definitely some options there for you. And then, like I said, this is the QR codes for all of the course pages. So if you scan that, it should take you through to the course pages there. I don't know if it'll take you right to the game development page or just the page with all the courses, but either way, there's game development and game design. And you can kind of find both of those in there. And the main contact. So if you guys have any questions about the courses or about the company, the best way to kind of reach out is through admissions@circuitstream.com. And this would be the same email. They can assist you with any of the universities that we partner with. So if you reached out and you were looking to sign up through UCI or through UFT, this admissions@CircuitStream will still get you to the same folks, to the right people there. You just have to let them know which university partner you'd want to take the course through. So, so that's kind of it for that. I clicked it and it tried to take me to the thing. We can do some quick audience Q&A here. So I tried to do some answers earlier for some of the questions that came up, but we'll see if I missed anything and if there's anything that we can do. Does anyone else have Dragon Age Veilguard ready to play after this workshop? I don't know, Tobin. There might be some other folks ready for that one too. It won't let me answer that one live, so I'll just leave that one alone. Okay. It won't let me do this one either live. I don't know why. But how useful do you think ChatGPT is to help people learn game development? I can let you answer that, Rafael. From my side, I know it's going to be, it's not going to take over anyone's jobs anytime soon, but it's a really useful tool in a lot of ways. So, but I'll let you kind of.
Yeah, well, ChatGPT is really good to help with things that like errors or Like sometimes you don't know why something's not working, but and like you ask ChatGPT, like you can give your whole code and give to ChatGPT. But it also works as a calculator, right? You don't learn math by just asking ChatGPT. You cannot just say at ChatGPT do something for me, because then you're not going to learn, right? But it's very useful for as an assistant.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think for all sort of AI tools right now. There a lot of people ask like, are jobs in jeopardy? Is AI going to take over? And it's funny when you see some applications through AI, it's so intelligent and it's so quick, and then you see AI do other things and it just completely misses the mark and adds 5 extra fingers on your hand. So it's not it's a great tool, but it still needs some human intervention to be used properly, at least for now. So is there a key that we can press down to restrict the transform R along one of the 2 axes? So this was probably a question specific to what you were working on like way earlier. I don't know if you had a chance to kind of mention that one or not. But
I don't really. Maybe it was like in a moment that makes sense. Like right now, it kind of like feels like it needs more information about the question. But the transform, like every time that you do something with the transform, you always have the option of doing individual axes, so 1, 2, or 3 axes at the same time. That's all I know.
Yeah, that should help. I mean, and if not too, you can always go back. Who asked that question? They can just go back through and take a look at the recording as well. So, okay. Were the 3D assets all created in Blender? What other programs can be used to create assets?
That's really good. These assets, so actually, very interesting. Unity has a asset store that there's a lot of free things that you could use to prototype or even make your own games. These assets that we use today, they are free on the asset store. But if you know Blender, you can also create your own 3D assets, of course.
Amazing. Awesome. All right. Recording of the chats. Yep, I mentioned that one before too. I believe I don't think the questions will all be in there. They might be. When you come back though to watch the recording, it brings you back into this room. So it's not like a YouTube, like a separate link, or it's not like, I mean, I do upload it to YouTube as well, so you can view it there. But the recording that gets sent out through the emails will literally bring you back into this like digital space, the same one that we're in now. So everything that's in here should still live here when you come back. Like you should be able to scroll through and see the questions that were asked and the chat that was kind of done throughout the whole session there. So probably a few messages to scroll through, but so how much time do we have to create our own game? I mainly ask because I have to go to work in an hour. Well, Armando, I hope that one was that question 247. That wasn't that long ago. So hopefully you were able to participate for the majority of the session here. If you have dropped off already, hopefully you're viewing this later on in the recording and you can kind of see my answer here. But yeah, it was, we were just estimating about an hour to 2 hours today. We probably went a little bit longer than we thought in the workshop portion, but also we kind of decided to do that, to add in a few extra things at the end there. So that's, hopefully we're able to do most of it, but yeah, the recording will be sent to you. Daniel's asking, are we going to go over creating 3D assets in the course? Thinking about the assets could be used for the capstone project. I can let you answer that one too, Raf, if you want. But.
Yeah, no. So the game development, I don't think the game design does, right? But the game development doesn't do any 3D work. We focus mainly on programming and Unity, the Unity tool.
Yeah, so it's just like utilizing the assets, like Raf said earlier, in like the Unity store, or you know, if you want to create your own assets outside, but we don't teach that specific education in the game development. Okay, can you go into a little bit more detail for the differences between the game development and game design courses? Does game design, yeah, exactly. So the biggest difference between the two courses is the programming and coding aspect. That does not exist at all in the game design course, whereas it is kind of the main foundation of the development course. I guess you kind of have to learn the coding aspects in Unity in order to be able to go through and do the majority of the work in the course. So that's the biggest difference. Otherwise, it just kind of like breaks down into the different sections of the course and kind of what you're covering. But I think as long as you're in that mindset, like one is much more development and programming and coding focused, and the other one's going to be much more like design, interaction design, and just kind of like you know, working
prototyping and like
prototyping, yeah,
like game like ideas, I would say.
Totally, yeah. Okay. And how do you add enemies to this game? That's probably a big question to ask.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
is there like
It's a long answer, but of course that I could just like give you guys like a direction. You could look into a Unity nav mesh, or if you want to make a simple enemy, just make it a look into transform.translate. Right, we use transform.rotate, but translate is also one that makes something move towards a direction. So that could be helpful.
cool. Yeah, and then you have to be creative, I guess, on who the enemy actually is on your side. But is the programming course fully online? It is. So the classes are live taught though. Like you'll have Rafael, for example, here is like one of our instructors, not in Livestorm, but in a similar style platform. Well, they'll be up on the screen kind of teaching the class live. And then there's also a large component that you kind of work on your own throughout the course too. But yeah, there's live classes, but everything is done online. So you can do it from anywhere. A few more here. What were some of your techniques to self-study software development as a beginner? Also, how much time would you recommend we put into studying software development? It's a hard question to answer the second part, but the first part might be easier for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's self-study is always complicated because everyone has a different way of learning. But I would to summarize the whole two questions, actually, it's always about practice. Like programming has a lot of rules and you always need to remember them. So it's mostly about practice. As much as you can practice without actually, of course, without stressing yourself, without actually passing your limits, right? Practice is always good, right? Every now and then, just try to do something different and try to like push yourself to do something that you don't know, right? But that's all I could suggest.
Yeah, totally. And I guess on my side too, just based on feedback I've heard from people, one of the more important things there too is just making sure you have like a good core foundation of understanding for what you're doing first. Because a lot of people will go into the self-study route, or they'll end up on YouTube and they'll end up watching, 3-hour-long tutorials doing something, and then they realize they're doing something completely wrong, or they're looking at completely the wrong thing, and then they've got to unlearn all of that and go back and learn the core concepts. So just based on what I've heard from people, self-study is kind of like, if you're not including it through the course or through something else, like it's great for finding little like niche areas and like challenging yourself, like Raf said, and like expanding on an existing education. But it is kind of tough to teach yourself something like game development or design entirely on your own. But I could read that question two ways. So it's like, if you're in the course, for example, adding in as much additional self-study as you can and trying to teach new or learn new things and get excited about it is always recommended. So hopefully between the two of us, that gives you an answer there. So does this course you're offering include VR and co-op? So this course does not include VR, but we do have VR and AR courses, XR courses, I guess I should say, to capture it all. But we have 10-week XR development and XR design courses. So if you are looking to just kind of add in some XR development to your existing like game development skills, I say that, Alejandra, because I know that you were kind of guiding the chat a little bit throughout there and you had answered a few things. So I'm assuming you have some skills already just based on the way you were interacting. But yeah, if you wanted to add to that, if you do, we do have the 10-week VR and AR courses separate from the gaming one. And does the exit trigger have to be visible for it to work? Nope.
No.
Cool. How is the bootcamp better than just getting Unity certified? So the bootcamp itself, like it's a very specified, like specific course that's going to teach you Unity development, game development. It kind of expands into different areas. Unity certification on its own, well, a couple things. Like it's hard to go in and get Unity certification without first going through any form of education, because you'd fail for sure. I mean, I know I would. The levels of certification they offer, you definitely have to have some education, some understanding, some experience in order to go in and kind of write them. Their certification levels are kind of just to show that you do have the understanding, whereas the bootcamp that we offer is going to give you the base understanding so that you could then go and write that certification through Unity and get additionally certified. But as I mentioned earlier too, our certifications are actually Unity backed and certified too. We're partners with Unity and we created it with them. So it's almost like a double certification if you go through Unity, but and Unity does have some self-teaching. They've got like some stuff on there too that you can go in, but it's kind of similar to what I said earlier. It's really hard, like unless you're going into a structured course with somebody who's like Raf that's coming in and saying like, it's important for you to learn this first in order to get to this, in order to get to this. Sometimes people just go into the self-learn portals and just get lost because they end up looking at things and getting overwhelmed and having no idea where to go or where to start. So hopefully that helps with that. Can you use raster software like Procreate for creating 2D game assets? I think so.
Yeah. As long as you have a PNG or even any image, actually, you can actually move into Unity and just use the image as a player or with something else.
Totally. Yeah, and as a Procreate user myself, I could absolutely do that. So I never developed a game, but I do use Procreate. What would be a good tutorial guide to follow? Oh yeah, do you have any recommendations, Raf, for any like YouTube tutorial peeps that might help?
Well, yeah, like there's tons of tutorials online. I would say there's Brackeys or Code Monkeys, but like I would say like Code Monkeys, it's a YouTube channel, but he actually teaches way more professional. A lot of the stuff that he does, it's really hard to understand. In Brackeys, it's a channel that they do very basic coding, but also not very professional. Like it's good to like learn and practice, but they teach in a very like basic way. These are two YouTube channels that they talk a lot about games and game development in Unity.
Yeah, and then even if you take those two that he just said and type that into like Reddit and read some threads, there'll probably be some more suggestions there that kind of fall in the same area. But awesome, yeah, thanks Raf for that. I didn't have any that I could share, so that was perfect. And then what time of day would classes be? We have different time slots available for the courses. So the best thing, Bernie, to do actually would be just go to circuitstream.com, click on the adult courses at the top, and then click on either the development or the design course. And if you scroll down, it'll tell you the start dates. It'll tell you the time slot options that are available, the tuition, like all that kind of fun stuff is there, but it'll let you know exactly what the time slots look like right on the website there too. So awesome. Oh, one more. Do you have to be in person for the course? Oh, no, because I'm in Waterloo. Not at all, Alejandro. All of our courses are taught online. So you can do them all. For the most part, they're live taught. We have a few self-paced courses, but most of our boot camps are taught with a live instructor. So you will have somebody in there assisting you as you go through. And that would be the same for the XR courses too. So, and you can definitely do those from Waterloo. Well, that's it. I think that's all the questions there. That was a big session today. Thank you so much, Raf, for taking the time and going through that with everyone. Yeah, that was, like I said, this is my favorite event that we have throughout the year. I just love anything Halloween, and I love the interactive workshop. So thank you. I'd love to have you back, of course, Raf. I mean, you work with us, so I'll ask you again. I'll message you, but yeah, and huge thank you to all the audience for the 60 some odd people who are still in here right now. Thank you so much for sticking all the way through to the end of the workshop. Hopefully you guys were able to create a game and it's functioning on your side there. If not, of course, just go back through and watch the recording. You'll get that sent to you afterwards, and we'll send some follow-up emails and stuff. But otherwise, everyone have an amazing Halloween. Have a great day, and check out circuitstream.com. Scroll down to the bottom and hit the events tab, and you can see the upcoming events that we'll have after this one. So, all right. Well, cheers. Happy Halloween again, everyone. Have a fantastic day, and we will see you in our next session. Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.